Hi there, guys, and welcome back to the Lenko Show. This is episode number 127, where we are going to be talking our top threes with regards to training. This podcast is sponsored by Dry Robe, makers of the original outdoor changing robe. Get changed and stay warm with Dry Robe. I have been so grateful for mine over these past few weeks. It is unbelievable. And I actually said to someone yesterday, Chris, um, that I did previously have another brand, and it's nowhere near as good. Nowhere like the quality, like how warm it is, like it is nowhere near as good. Like as soon as you finish training, you put your dry robe on, you feel a massive difference in comparison to this other stuff that's like really thin, scraggy, and not particularly great. So 100%, if you're thinking about getting some sort of thick, warm, cushy training robe, dry robe is 100% the way to go. So big up to Dry Robe for supplying me with that. Massively appreciate it. How you doing, Chris? You good?
I'm wonderful, mate. I'm wonderful. How are you? And as well as how are you, tell me about what is going on with Arla at the minute.
Oh, brother. Well, this is a kind of worm. So, Arla have recently announced proudly that they are throwing into their dairy produce as part of the food chain. They're adding an additive called Bovaer or Bovar, not 100% sure how it's pronounced, that is potentially going to reduce cow emissions by up to 27%. So up to 27%, not guaranteed, not above that, more or less maximum 27%. They're the best results that have been recorded for what it's going to reduce it by. Now, the problem with this is that it contains, shall we say, I, I'm not a big fan on the need for it, and I'll explain that as well. But it contains a compound, and one of the main ingredients is something called 3-nitrooxypropanol, which is generally linked to infertility and has some, should we say, potentially quite significant side effects. So, if you're going to feed that to the cow, what's it going to do to the cow? If it's designed to stop the cow from farting, is it worthwhile? Is there any point to it? Personal belief is absolutely not. But more than that is, what is that going to then do to the food chain? What impact is it potentially going to have on our food and various other? And I understand like some food agency has come out and authorized and said it's safe. Well, I looked at the study. Originally, the study was it was 24 cows. Four of them developed some type of cancer, which was statistically significant. And what they then did was bring in a separate research group to analyze the results, and they ruled that one of the cows should be withdrawn and the result from that cow shouldn't count, which then meant that the results were statistically insignificant and therefore it is safe. And I am not buying it one jot. Biggest question: who's funding it? Who's making money from it? What have they potentially got to gain from it? More than that, who's producing the food? How much are they making from doing that? And then at what point does that cow food then become legislated to every dairy farmer? If you've got dairy cows, you have to feed them this, to the point where it's probably too expensive to have cows. And then they go, well, we can't have cows anymore. Then milk, eggs, not, why am I saying eggs? Milk, eggs, no, not eggs. Milk, butter, think like anything that is related to the dairy produce is then going to be ramped up through the roof, become massively expensive or incredibly synthetic, which is completely the wrong way to go. And I'm not a fan of it one bit. Um, and just to give you some of the numbers on this, so I looked at sort of if methane is apparently the problem, right? It's 28 times more potent than CO2 with regards to holding heat in the atmosphere, right? So let's assume that that's an issue. We then look at how prevalent methane is in the atmosphere, and it's 1.92 parts per million It then breaks down eventually into carbon dioxide through a rather simple chemical reaction. It's like it will naturally become carbon dioxide at some point, which, by the way, is the gas of life. Without that, we are screwed. There is absolutely nothing we can do without that. It is essential to all life on the planet. And if it drops to about 0.0, or sorry, 0.03%, we're done. We're cooked. And the rough estimate is there is about 0.042% of CO2 in the atmosphere. And if you're telling me that reducing cow farts by 27% is going to offset the emissions of India, China, and everyone flying around in private jets telling us that we should be not eating meat, we should be eating synthetic products, lab grown meat, well, you can absolutely do one. It's not happening. I'm not getting involved and I'm not playing that game. And I think everybody who takes a stand against it and says, right, I'm going to go and support my local farms, support my local businesses, and buys food from source as close to home as possible, you will be doing a positive thing, as well as actually improving your own health. So you've had your warning. I've told you you've got the information. There's plenty of information out there on it. And this is the interesting thing on this, right? Until so Arla announced this. I think they might have announced it either on Twitter or through their website. And everyone's kicked off. Loads of people have gone in on it. There have been a massive amount of dairy farmers who've come out and said, no, we're not doing it. We're not getting involved. We think it's bad for the animal, bad for the bad for us as people. We're not going to do it to our cows. And then I think Arla took out an injunction to prevent people from protesting on against what they were doing, either on their farms or on their sites or something like that, which is understandable. But they think they're doing a good thing. They think they're doing the right thing. The righteousness and that we're better than you, we know better than you, we're going to play around with your food. I hate that. I hate that. Does that does that set us off on the right path?
Yeah, I feel like you've really, I feel like the word I want to use is exhausted that entire scenario. You've gone down all the way to the bottom of the rabbit hole. You've figured out what direction it looks like it's going to go in, what the holes in the entire thing are. I like it. You've done fast work there, mate. Very fast work. And as a result, I don't have to do any work other than avoid it now, which is good. I appreciate that.
And the thing is, with this with this feed additive, it says that it has to be handled with gloves. So if you have to handle with gloves, but then you're going to provide it for an animal to eat it, what effect is that going to have? How can that be right? How can it? It doesn't make sense. The only way that any of this makes sense is if there is a shitload of money changing hands, which you can guarantee there will be.
Is it even a real thing?
What do you mean? Is it a real thing?
Like it's not something that they've just put out there for people like you to.
No, no, it's deadly serious. It's deadly serious. I have actually seen quite a lot of people boycotting Arla products like Cravendale,
I mean,
for one.
there's
And
absolutely no way that there's not a lot of money changing hands because anything that's big and significant like that, there's always money changing hands, isn't there? So I agree with what you said in terms of who's done the trials, who's done the research, who's benefiting from it.
this is it. And the thing is, we know that Bill Gates thinks there is an overpopulation problem with regards to the planet. He also thinks that cows are a massive issue, and he doesn't want people eating meat. He wants people eating insects and lab grown alternatives. So this is just the beginning of that. This is just another
Why does he think cows are a problem?
because
Because of the
I don't know. I'd have to ask him. I'd love to sit down one to one and just ask him all these questions as to why he thinks certain things are issues. Like, have you seen the video of him um, sitting down with an interviewer and the guys asked him like, carbon's the issue. Why can't we just plant more trees? Because they'll recycle the carbon, more oxygen for us, less carbon in the atmosphere. Why can't we just plant more trees? And he's like, are we the idiots or are we the science people? And it's like, give us an actual answer. Like, what's the information on it? What's the deep? Like, why can't we do that? Makes perfect sense to do that and look after the environment. Sounds like a bloody good idea. Maybe we should stop chopping so many down and start planting a few more. But are we the science people? I don't
I just
understand
think
why
that
he's getting involved. I mean,
you're
the
not
only like
sitting buying lots of farmland.
power, money, influence. Yeah, have a look at who's. But honestly, with the tax that the British government have just put in on our farmers, keep your eyes peeled for because the simple kind of solution from the left wing to help farmers pay this inheritance tax that we've just cooked up is, well, just sell your land. So keep a sharp eye out for when any farmer has got to sell their land to be able to pay this inheritance tax. Keep a sharp eye out for who buys it. That
So
will be interesting.
I've just read that Bill Gates is the biggest private owner of farmland in the entire United States. He owns more farmland than any and than an entire Native American nation.
Thick. Brilliant.
So is it him
Yes.
and his weird hatred for cows?
Bill Gates and BlackRock, they're the ones that are involved. And coincidentally, they were in the UK a few weeks back meeting Sir Keir Starmer. So, yeah, let's
So
see where it goes. Anyway, we're not doing conspiracies. This is just information as it stands. We're not theorizing. We're not prophesizing. That's the information. That's the stuff that's going into the food chain. That's what your cows are being fed if you buy Arla products. Cadbury's, I think, are on it. Starbucks, Costa Coffee, they utilize those products. I'm not going there anymore. I'm not doing any of that. I'm going to source everything that I possibly can from local farms, local shops, local businesses, and keep it as organic and as natural as humanly possible. Obviously, it's not always not always going to happen like that, but where I can help it, that's 100% what I'm going to be doing. And I would recommend everybody to do the same. Anyway, we did say today we're getting on to training top threes. We have been sidetracked for a little bit there. So, first off,
long live the
I
king.
think this is important. And it's quite a difficult answer to give because I think it's so variable. But how would you describe your training style or your I mean that in the sense of your programming style, like when you're programming things for clients or for yourself?
I would describe it as strength and conditioning. Is that an answer?
Um, I suppose that, yeah, that's training. Yeah.
They do strength work or they do conditioning work.
So like that makes more sense. So you've got a day where you do strength training and then another day where you would do longer aerobic circuity type stuff.
Yeah, so bear in mind that when I'm with clients, I'm restricted to 60 minutes. So in a 60-minute session, like for most of the people that I'm working with, it's yeah, they're either doing strength in that session or they might do like anywhere from 5 minutes to 40 minutes of conditioning. Generally, it wouldn't be longer than that in a session with me, but yeah, they get programmed that stuff to do outside of. I always think if you're going to be in the gym and have access to do strength training, then do some form of strength training. And
Hmm.
then when you don't have access to the gym, that's when you can do more of your conditioning stuff. And I think more so nowadays, whereas more people are starting to do all the running stuff because of the introduction of high rocks and hybrid training and things like that. But up until very recently, it wasn't. I would say it was more a mixture of the two. People would do strength work for like the first half of the session, then more conditioning based stuff towards the second half. And I think that was really, really good just in sense of its novelty and people enjoy mixing things up and doing combinations of and different things with the Metcons, AMRAPs, EMOMs, whatever it is. That's just something different towards the end of the workout.
Mm.
Um, but I don't generally do that anymore. I would simply do a strength day or however many strength days and then however many conditioning days, one or the other.
I think I used to be a little bit like, I suppose, concurrent training where you're more or less doing everything in one session. So like back in the old health club gym, it was kind of right, we're going to start off with your strength based stuff, then we'll do some hypertrophy work, then we're going to do some conditioning. And it kind of got to the point where everything was just so tight on time and it just felt like we weren't really focusing on anything in particular. And it was just different, like you say, because you've only got an hour, like you generally find it hard to fit everything in. But because people are probably coming to you 2 or 3 times a week, it's are they getting in on their own time to follow through with the rest of the program? If they're able to get in 5 days a week, you can be more flexible and more fluid with what you give them. But I think a lot of people in that arena are kind of chasing fat loss. And as a result of that, they want to feel like they're getting sweaty and getting the heart rate up and they're burning shitloads of calories every single session, which, when it comes to optimal results, isn't always the best way to go about it. Um, I would say now I'm probably on more of a conjugate West Side style where we've got a max effort lower body day, a max effort upper body day. Then I'd just have a base conditioning day. Then we've got a dynamic effort day for each upper and lower body, where it's focusing on more explosive movements. So you've got you're working both ends of the speed strength curve through the course of the training week to maximize those results. And then it's a case of caring a little bit less about physique, weight loss, fat loss, not chasing that, and controlling your nutrition and your calorie intake to get those results there. So this is kind of all tailored towards the performance side of things. But I think similar to you with sort of the general population clients I've got, it is a case of splitting that up and going, right, well, we're going to go really high strength day or massive muscle build focus and just isolating and staying focused on that one thing for that day and then changing the pattern the next day to something else and tapping on a different stimulus each time rather than every stimulus in a low amount every single day. Um, I would say that's probably my preferred way to go about it now. So,
Yeah. And I don't think, I think a lot of times it's not specifically a right way or a wrong way. I remember saying to you a couple of weeks ago about the more evidence coming out that obviously if you train strength specifically and on strength days and then conditioning specifically on conditioning days, obviously you maximize the potency of the results of both. But, you know, some people, if they did do both those things, like we used to do with our programming, like they're going to have some level of overload and they will continue moving forward and they're still going to enjoy it and they'll still keep getting better and better. They're not going to be like the number one because if you want to be the number one, you need to be training in that specific way where you are going to get the best results as fast as possible and as efficient as possible and as useful as possible. But I
yeah.
guess that's where it comes into varying needs and varying lifestyles of your clients.
And I'd also say for anyone out there that's not training with us or not on any of our online programming or seeing us one to one, I think one of the things you need to bear in mind is that if you think about what's the long-term result you're chasing, if over the next 3 to 4 months you want a specific result to be bigger, faster, stronger, whichever one of those it is, structure your program up in reverse order. So if you want to get a lot faster, do your speed work towards the end. Before that, I would say work on um I would say maximal strength and maybe even a bit of muscle building, bit of familiarization with some of the advanced training techniques and exercises, and set the foundation. So the first phase, 4 to 6 weeks, whatever it is, set your foundation. Second 4 to 6, push a little bit harder, push the weights, increase the intensity, increase the speed of some of the movements. And then the final phase, reduce the volume so you're a lot fresher, keep the intensity really high, and make sure the quality is spot on. And that's kind of like your peaking phase. So give yourself time to actually focus on each stimulus through each phase rather than just going, I'm just going to smack everything all at once for the next 12 weeks. That's not a training program. That's just working out and that's just exercising. So have a little think, be a little bit more direct and deliberate with what you do. We're going to go and feel free to judge us on this, guys. Feel free to send us feedback. I did ask on my Instagram the other day if you could only do 3 exercises on your legs for the rest of your life, what would you pick? And I've had a few good answers from that. So we're going to get into this, Chris. We're going to start with leg day. What are your top 3 leg day exercises?
This is an interesting one because I would change my top three based on whatever it is specifically I'm trying to do. But I would always say there's got to be a squat in there and there's got to be a hinge in there. And for me, I think you get more out of doing a back squat than any other squat. However, we caveat that with obviously you saw when I came to your gym in the week, I was doing some belt squats because there's less tension on the back. I think if you've got access to doing a high quality back squat, it's going to be more returns for you than doing, say, a different kind of squat. Again, it's always going to differ based on whatever results you're trying to produce, whatever stimulus you're trying to achieve. But I would say a back squat. If I was all healthy and mobile and fit and not and capable, I would always take the back squat as my one of my top three. Do these have to be in a specific order?
Nah, any 3, any order.
Okay. I would also take a deadlift, the Joel Seedman trap bar horizontal deadlift. No, I wouldn't really. I would take oh, do you know, I think for health and longevity purposes, I would probably take a trap bar, but otherwise, I'm just gonna say conventional deadlift. So normal Olympic bar from the floor deadlift.
So you got
Non
squat,
non
deadlift.
non sumo. Non sumo.
Okay. And your third leg
Right.
exercise.
Third leg exercise. It's got to be, it has to be.
You love a leg press, don't you? You love a leg press.
I love a leg press for an accessory for hypertrophy.
Yeah.
I don't have access to one at my gym. So when there's access to one, I just have to go and give it a hug and let it know that I care about it. Um, but it has to be a Bulgarian split squat.
Okay. Good. I like that. You've gone
It
big on the
has to be.
yeah.
But that's arguably probably that's probably the best one.
Okay.
In my deep stretch in the bottom. Um, very, very functional, let's say.
I have gone very, very similar, but a very slight, a little change, a little bit
Oh,
different. So I am going to go with a deadlift. That's going to be my big one.
yeah.
All right.
Conventional.
Love that for posterior chain. I reserve the right to utilize a little bit of flexibility with it. Either I'll say yes, conventional, but I also reserve the right to utilize a trap bar deadlift and a sumo deadlift in the same day. It's still a deadlift.
Okay, can we, when we've done these three, so you do your three, and then we're gonna go through sets and reps for each one as well then.
Oh, okay. Okay. So you can only do one rep scheme for each one. Fuck.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So, yes, I'm going to go deadlift. That's going to be my big one.
one rep max.
10 sets of two. Um, my second one, similar to you, I am going to go for a rear foot elevated split squat, Bulgarian split squat. Um, Again, I think there's quite a bit of variation in with that. So like you can either emphasize your balance, shift your body weight forwards, hit your quads a bit more, or you can sit back into it and really smash your glutes and get your hamstrings on a good stretch. Um, Other variations of that I like are doing it with your heel elevated. So the heel of your front foot is off the floor. You're putting a lot more tension through your calf, and that's going to hit the quads quite nicely. Very good for training a little bit of stability and balance. Really, really useful with athletes. Even if you were to just do it body weight and do it with like a little bit of a hop or a little bit of a bounce, you can do it with a little bit of lateral side to side movement. So many variations of it. But if I was going to do it, I go weighted barbell Bulgarian split squat. Then my third one,
Barbell,
what? Is that all right?
barbell Bulgarian.
Yeah. I mean, like dumbbells as well, but I think you can go heavier with a barbell than you can with
We
dumbbells.
talking back rack.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was thinking if you went front rack,
Or Joel Seedman style, trap bar overhead, front foot on a Bosu ball with banded kettlebells wobbling on the end of the bar. Sorry, was that a bit much?
that was too much, Alex.
Yeah, so um go on, what were you thinking?
No, I wasn't. I was just being silly. I was going to say you could do front rack, rear foot elevated split squats, and I think that could quite possibly ruin most people's week.
Yeah, they're rough. They are rough, by the way. They're rough.
People hate front rack, people hate split squats, put them together.
Mm. Um, and then my third one, probably like I really like this exercise, sled push.
Ah, I thought you were going to go there. I
I
thought you were
like
going
a
to.
sled push. I really like a sled push. Very versatile. You can either load it up or you can move it fast. Distance wise, you can go long, you can go short. The intensity, it's one of those that I think is fantastic for athletes in the respect of it doesn't give you DOMs. You get the unilateral leg work. You can mimic patterns of acceleration. Um, Teaches good body positioning for leg drive and, like I said, that acceleration and overcoming that initial lack of inertia. I Yeah, they're my three: deadlift, Bulgarian split squat, and a sled push. That's what I'm having.
Yeah, I like it. I also think if you've already got a split squat, you wouldn't need a back squat. So a sled push is a very good
Well, this is it. So I was originally thinking, do I go back squat, deadlift, and then I was like, ooh, haven't really. Like I know I've got the sled push, but unilateral work, squat pattern, had not really got. I feel like I've covered all three there. So
yeah.
we've got a dynamic whole body in the sled push. We've got posterior chain with the deadlift, and then we've got split squat for the squat pattern. Um, yeah. We wanted to go through sets and reps, didn't we? So go on, hit me with yours. What sets and reps are you doing on them?
How big can my how big can my range be?
I will allow I think we can allow a reasonable window. So if you were to say, right, I'm gonna go strength range 1 to 3 reps, 3 to 6, then maybe hypertrophy 5 to 8, or you could even have a hypertrophy of 8 to 10 or 12. Um,
I was thinking, could I go 3 to 15 reps?
you're such a pussy if you do that. No, you can't do that.
No, I wouldn't really. I'd go, okay, if I'm not allowed the same on each one, I would have the deadlift for sets of 3 to 6. I would go 3 to 6 sets of 3 to 6. And that goes the opposite way. So you could start at, say, 6 sets of 3, or you could be at 3 sets of 6. For the squat, I would go up to 8 reps. I would say more 5 to 8 reps. I wouldn't really want to be doing more than that on a back squat. Um,
How many sets?
3 to 5.
Okay. Have you ever done a set of Widowmakers on your squat where it's just like 20 reps, blast it out?
Yeah,
Yeah,
not for a while. Do you remember when we did the 5 minute back squat bodyweight
I
challenge?
do. That was
Bodyweight bar?
exhausting. I struggled to walk for about 3 days after that. I literally, my legs were giving way on me on the stairs.
Yeah.
One of the other things we've got at our gym, we do a challenge. It's called the Manchester Mile, where you have to do 30 back squats with your body weight, like body weight including like the barbell. So if you weigh 90 kilos, you've got a 90 kilo bar, and then you've got to run a mile as fast as you can. It's hilarious. You just watch
Wow.
people. They finish the squats and they stagger out the door because the thing is, the squats are they're heavy enough to be a tough challenge for pretty much everybody. Again, depending on fitness, but like even if you're really strong and really fit and not mega heavy, you're doing them quick and your legs are burning. They are blessed because you're doing them in one set. Like you don't rack the bar on that. You do them and then you stagger out the gym. It's so funny watching people try and start running. It's honestly, it's like Bambi learning to walk. It's brilliant. Um, what was your final one?
Split squats. I would go 3 sets of, you know what? I'm gonna go higher volume. I'm gonna say 10 to 12. And I'm gonna go with 3 seconds down, 2 second pause at the bottom, and then fast back up.
Okay, cool. I think I'm going to go similar to you on the deadlift. But I think I'd go 4 sets, 4 to 6 sets. For me, I feel like 3 sets. I feel like it's never enough. I always do my third set and think I definitely need one more. So I always do a fourth.
Working sets,
Yes. Yeah.
really?
I
Not
just feel like
working
I
sets.
feel like three's never enough. Like I think so. For instance, it was deadlifting the other day, and it was hitting. It was about 200 and maybe 205 kilos, something like that. Um,
Not a lot of them.
and I did 3 sets, and I was like, that was what it said on the program, and I was like, I feel like I've got more in me. Like, don't get me wrong, like I was on the limit with the weight. Like it was for the sets and for the reps I was doing, there wasn't much left in the tank to do. Like it wasn't a weight I could rep like 6 or 8 reps. Well, I'm gonna say couldn't rep 6, couldn't rep 8, probably. Like it was heavy. So I just thought I'm just gonna do an extra set. So I did it anyway. Um, So yeah, I'd go 4 to 6, and I go between 3 and 6 reps on the deadlift. Again, just perfect for that fundamental foundational strength. The split squats, again, I'm with you. I would add a little bit of contrast to that. I'm again going for between 4 and 6 sets. I'll go more in the range of 6 to 8 reps.
Heavy split squats. Oh, you did say because you're back racking yours, aren't you?
Yeah, I reserve the right to go light. We didn't say anything about loading or having to select tempo. No, I'm going to utilize the full range of the rep scheme. I'm going to stick to full range of the rep scheme. I'm going to stick to my 6 to 8 reps, but I'm going to allow myself light loading for high velocity days and then heavy loading for more of a strength hypertrophy bias. And then the last one, the sled push. I'm going to stick to short distances, 20 to 40 meters max.
3 miles.
Have you ever done a mega long sled push? It's just horrible. Yeah, short distances, just for, again, I'm going to let myself, I'll go 5 sets. I'm just going to pick 5 sets. I'm going to hit five. 20 to 40 meters for each one. Um, Either moving fast or moving heavy. Either one. I'm not too fussed. Reserve the right to pick and choose as I please. Are you happy with that? Is that satisfactory? Or do you want to
Yes.
grill me on that? Do you feel like you need to press me on it?
No, I don't
No,
think there's any point in
you're
that.
good. Right, upper body then. upper body. I haven't actually thought too much about the upper body stuff. I'm going to have bench press in there. That'll be my number one. We're not going to go sets and reps on these because otherwise we'll be here all day. So I'm going to go bench press. Then I'm going to have a single arm bent over dumbbell row, I think.
Right.
And then my final one, I'm glad this has just popped into my head. I'm going to have a weighted pull up. They're my three. I'm happy with that. Massive back strength, explosive bench. What else do you need? What are you going for?
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I have a very diverse upper body index, let's say. And again, it really would change for me. The movements would change based on what specifically I'm doing. But I agree, there has to be a push in there. Bench press, you could probably arguably get more weight than if you were to do a press up. So I think I would also go bench press. I think I think I would go barbell bench, despite the fact I heavily enjoy a dumbbell bench press far more.
Do you?
Yeah. So
Interesting.
so here's a really interesting point for everyone listening and for you as well. Like, you can ask me about this, but for me, a dumbbell bench press is hard, right? It's tough. You can go heavy or you can go light. You can do more, I guess, stability work, what have you. It's obviously unilateral, but there's nothing quite like when you're on a barbell bench and you can do more weight with a bar than you'll be able to do with dumbbells, assuming you've been training properly. And the systemic tension that is created as you apply force on like a heavy bar press, it's just very, very different to what you could do with a dumbbell bench. No, wrong, you could do a dumbbell bench heavy, and I've done some heavy dumbbell benches, but with a bar, it's a very, very different, like you experience your central nervous system having some kind of fit. That was terrible explanation, but you know what I mean. Like like when you do a barbell bench, you know how that noise, and you feel like everything's like it's gonna expand and then blow up on a heavy dumbbell bench. Like you just don't quite get that. It's not quite the same.
No. It's because it's not as heavy. It's just not as heavy.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
less
as
stable.
heavy as you can go with it, it's not as heavy.
Yeah.
So
The less stable the exercise is, the lighter you have to go.
yeah.
The more stable it is, the heavier you can go. So you got what you got? You got your bench press.
Yeah. So heavy bench. I think do I would say the weighted pull up like you. However, a lot of people typically they have issues with their pull up that they wouldn't necessarily have with a lat pull down where they're seated and it's a bit more stable. However, a lat pull down generally doesn't go heavy enough, whereas a pull up you can go heavier.
You got to pick and
So
choose. You got to commit.
yeah, so I think I would also go pull up, and yeah, I think that excludes a lot of people that aren't at the pull up stage. So I've got one push and I've got one pull. What was your third? You had a dip. Did you have? No, you didn't have a dip.
No, no, I didn't. But this is the difficult one. Like I really like pulling exercises. Right. I was contemplating a few different ones. You kind of mentioned one there with a dips, weighted dips, very good. Um, I was considering a push press um for shoulders, and I probably should do that for full body balance, but just I'm playing favorites here. I really like a heavy single arm bent over dumbbell row, like a croc row type exercise where you just fucking ripping it off the floor, heavy weight. little bit of instability on a bench. You're working, your core's getting worked. It's a unilateral exercise. Yeah, so I went with the single arm row.
Yeah,
Tell me I'm
yeah.
wrong. Go on.
No, I'm thinking it's boring if I go the same one as you. I agree, and my reasoning for it is I think your back can never be too big or too strong. Like you get too strong on your front, and one day it's gonna fuck you up. You get too strong on your back, and you're just gonna have a fucking mint back, and you're gonna be healthier. Your shoulders will be healthier. So I think I agree. It has to be a pull. I would go single arm, but you've said it, and it'd be boring for me to go to the same. So I'm gonna say, but pretty much the same reasons other than the unilateral aspect. I would go with a bent over row bar or maybe a pendelay.
See, that was another one that I was thinking. I was considering that.
Yeah.
That would be a good one. Um, let's move on to core. What are your top three core exercises? I think this is a tricky one because there's so many little
Ooh.
niggly ones that you can include in this.
Yeah, I like a rollout.
Yes,
Rollout has to be in there.
I did. So I've got that on my list as well. But I did like a variation of it yesterday where you're on your front, arms are already out, so you're laying on the floor, and then you're basically pushing through your arms to lift your hips off the floor and lift your body off the floor. So imagine doing a plank walkout till your arms are straight and then lying down. From that position of being prone, fully stretched out, you're then pushing into the floor to get your hips off the floor. Like that was mint and also horrendous for like lats and triceps. So yes, we'll go one and one.
Yeah,
We're
so
agreeing on that rollout.
I also really enjoy that as like an inchworm back into your um what's the word? I don't know what the word I'm looking for is. Back into your neutral position. So you lie and spread out as far as you can, big stretch, and then you're tiptoeing yourself all the way back in to get a big stretch through your posterior chain as well. I really like that. But yeah, so roll out, I would go for a hanging exercise. So probably a hanging leg raise. I would go strict. I'm guessing I'm allowed to have a knee raise. Like if you can't get a leg out, you can bring the knee up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would go for a hanging leg raise
Yeah.
while someone punches you in the stomach.
Yeah.
No, I'm.
Throws a ball at you.
You couldn't. Yeah, yeah. And then I wonder if I would. I think I would have probably some form of offset carry or loaded carry. Maybe one arm overhead or front rack or even just down by the side. I would go a unilateral loaded carry.
Yeah, I like that. I really like that. So we've got a couple of.
Can see like, oh, I
I'm
might have
like,
one of
I
them.
wish I'd stolen that. So like, I would normally go for a really heavy carry. I love a loaded carry. Um, but I've gone on mine. I want to get some working on the hip flexors. Nothing quite like the hip flexors to help you when it comes to sprinting and explosive leg power. So, and this is one that I kind of I genuinely. I mean, obviously it pre-existed, but I had no recollection of ever seeing it. And I kind of thought, well, that's quite a good idea to do this. I'm going to use a band for this, but banded mountain climbers. So you hook a band around the rig. You've got one loophole for each foot. Both your feet going through the band. You drop down into the push-up position, walk yourself forward. So you've got tension in the band, and then you're doing a mountain climber sort of knee to elbow, pulling through your hip flexor, keeping your hips up so your core's engaged, so you hit a bit of a hollow shape. Um, and that works.
So you're facing away from the rig there.
Say that again.
you're what you're trying to explain is you're facing away from the rig and the band's pulling you back in towards it.
Yeah. So when you do
Yeah, and you're
your
driving again.
yeah, so when you do that knee to elbow, you're pulling through the hip flexor to bring your leg away from the rig, increase the tension in the band. And the interesting thing with that is obviously you work the hip flexors, but because you're getting that knee flexion, you're actually working the hamstrings as well. Um, so that works really, really nicely. And then I think I would have gone for a hanging exercise, but because we've got the rollout in there, we're already in that lengthened position and we're holding that stability through there, essentially doing the reverse of the hanging raise. I'm gonna go with a weighted sit up. I love a weighted sit up. They're mint. Go as heavy as you can on a
Weighted
weighted sit
sit.
up. I love a weighted sit up. They're class.
Yeah.
Um, the next one we're gonna go run type. So like this is a sledge. We're gonna pin ourselves down to one. We're either gonna go fast, high intensity, explosive sprints. It could be intervals, lactate based stuff, or it could be the long zone two, slow, steady, hills, whatever you want, any particular run type training method, what you're going for. I am personally, I think I've just changed my mind.
That's so hard. Like what for with what goal in mind? Just
It,
like what
the
you
goal
prefer.
is irrelevant. It's just what's your preference? What do you like? What do you enjoy?
Oh
What do,
Christ, that's an
so
obvious one for me.
so my one for this, I was originally going to say sprints. My actual answer is going to be the long zone two, slow, steady, out in the hills with the dog. Like because of that, I want to be doing stuff like that with the dog. That's freedom. That is freedom. That's chilling. I enjoy that. I find it relaxing. So yeah, I'm going long zone two, slow, steady, plodding up and down hills. Um, that's my preferred run type.
Yeah, I would say you potentially the zone two for a lot of us, you might not even need to necessarily be fucking running.
Yeah.
Like if you're walking up and down hills with your dog and your missus and whoever else, like that's good fun and that could be zone two. Yeah. So
Good,
I agree with
oh,
you on
good,
that
good.
one.
It's a good little social thing as well, isn't it? Like you never see these run clubs like where it's like, all right, have a chat while you're sprinting along. It doesn't work, does it? You can chat in between your sprints, but not whilst you're going.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree. I agree. Alternatively, I would go 5 second sprints, no more.
Yeah. Like I would go with a flying 30. A flying 30 is probably if I was picking a sprint, that'd be my one.
Yeah.
So you got an easy 10 meter build up into just hammer down. And incidentally, here's a little training tip for you. So I know we're just kind of uh not really going into detail about much, and you're not necessarily gaining loads of information from this podcast episode. But for every 10 meters you cover at full tilt, give yourself a minute rest. So if you do a flying 30, take 3 minutes before you do your next one so you can keep that high pace.
Can I just be clear with all the viewers? Like, we have essentially just created the perfect workout for most people. If you do not have a specific thing that you are training for, we've just given you all the best exercises that will help you accomplish pretty much all your fitness goals.
Yeah,
Like, assuming you're not training specifically for Rugby World Cup or
or an
the
iron.
Olympic Games or an Ironman, yeah, like we have given you like all the best strength pro like exercises. We gave you sets and reps for low body ones. Like if you went out and did those things and then did your long walk at the weekend with your missus and with your dog,
Right,
you
sorted.
you'd be
We've
in a good place.
yeah, we've just sorted it. The next one we're gonna go with is your top three cardio exercises. Are
Ooh.
we taking bedroom activities off the table for this one? Should we not include them? We can just assume that that would be top anyway, but let's just go with the regular gym and fitness based
Yeah,
X.
so I think I'm gonna say tying in with both our previous answer, one of the top three has got to be just going having a fucking nice, cool walk with your family and with your gran and whatever up and down hills. If you're going up and down hills, it's much different a stimulus than just walking on a flat, like
What,
walking uphill.
why are you dragging grandma up and down hills through the wilderness?
Listen, if she doesn't stay fit, she's gonna slowly decline until she's dead.
Training,
So
training for the SAS.
yeah. Fucking random fuck about. Random fuck about. Then I would go the opposite end of the spectrum. I would do, I'm gonna go assault bike sprints
Yeah, I like
because
that.
low impact, well, no impact, full body, like you're gonna get pretty greasy and gnarly, and you could definitely knock a couple of years off the old ticker with that one. Likewise, you could add some on. You could do a lot of damage with them. Um, and then running. It's got to be running, hasn't it? It's got to be like we're bipedal creations. We got two legs. We should be out and about on them. And if you're going out and doing your hill walking at the weekend, you're probably going to be better at running. If you do a lot of running, you're probably going to be significantly better at your hill walking at the weekend.
Yeah.
I think running is something that is, I mean, it's more popular nowadays, isn't it? I mean, not more popular than it was like 2000 years ago, but it's certainly more popular than it was maybe 50 years ago.
It's less
Um,
essential these days. It's less essential.
yeah, but if you can do it, you got a fucking jolly good life skill. And the reason that I say that is because I'm not saying that rowing's not important, skiing's not important, but when was the last time you had to ski to Asda or you had to row from the bus home? Like you just don't have to. Like
Or
running
ski after a criminal.
or ski after a criminal. Somebody out there probably has done that, but yeah, it's more transferable as a life skill, I think, than I know there's some big boys out there, apologies to you, who like being able to hit like 2,500 plus on their calorie output per hour on the ergs, but no one really gives a shit. So
I'm gonna take similar to you. I'm gonna go running as one, and I'm just gonna class that as being out in nature. That's gonna be like the hill, run, walk type stuff that we've talked about.
with
Um,
Grant.
no, I'm not. I'm not taking grandma with me. No,
Okay.
I'm just not. I'll take the dog. I'll take Fiona. You can come along as well. I'm not. I'm not taking grandma. No. Um,
Keep
then
up, Grant. Keep up.
leave her in the car. The next one, I am gonna go with. I'll take the Echo bike. Love the Echo bike. I could sit on that all like well, not all day. Maybe I could do it all day, most of the day. Yeah,
Do
I
you
like the Echo
know?
bike. It's just really good full body cardio. If you did legs only, you get a legs blast. If you do arms only, you screw your arms up. If you do it all together, you just ruin yourself. It's fantastic. It's good for the soul. And then the last one I'm going to do, I'm going to take this because it's a full body low full body low impact activity, which is the rower. I feel very much at home on the rower, um, and I think there's a lot of variability, a lot of versatility, and like I said, it uses everything. It's a really good full body activity. So they would be my three. I think the last thing I want to finish with this one. We'll wrap it up after this. If you could only utilize one of these three ever again, what would it be? Barbell, dumbbells, kettlebell. Oh, and then no, I've thought of another one. We'll finish on a different one. But yeah, go with that first.
Barbell, dumbbells, or cowbell? Uh, Barbell.
I think given my answers to the leg day stuff and equally the upper body exercises, I would have to say barbell as well.
Yeah.
I would have to do that. Right. the last one, unless I think of something else, you're allowed three pieces of equipment to take with you. And we're talking foam, like to put in your gym bag. We're talking foam roller, lifting belt, straps, grips, fat grips, um, sweatbands, you name it. Any of the accessory pieces, you're allowed three. What's going in your gym bag?
To be honest, I don't really use any. I would straps. I would use, but I'm not deadlifting heavy enough yet. Um, yeah. So lifting straps, lifters. Am I allowed lifters?
Yeah, you can have lifters, yeah.
Yeah, I occasionally wear those. So lifters. Honestly, I wouldn't really bother with anything else that I can think of. If I was doing CrossFit, then gymnastic straps to help me grip the bar, I suppose. But I wouldn't choose to do that. I would rather do stuff strict now if I could, because I'm not doing CrossFit. Yeah. What about yourself?
I'm going lifting belt, number one, straps, number two, and then grips, number three, just to help with the hanging work.
Fat grips
No, not fat grips. No, 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 just
to help wrap around the bar to,
gymnastic type grips. Yeah,
yeah, okay.
because I'm quite heavy, and my there are limitations on how long I can hold myself there doing like hanging leg raises and other hanging exercises. So yes, I'm gonna go with those three and stick them in my gym bag.
Yeah, I like it. I like it.
Anyway, that concludes our top threes for training. So hopefully you've enjoyed listening today, guys. It's been an absolute pleasure. I'm not too sure what we've got in the pipeline for our next podcast, but we'll definitely be back with another one. Um, if you've got any questions, anything in particular you want to send over to us, anything you want to ask us, feel free to throw something at us. I'll tell you what, something we might talk about is the use of MRI scanners at veterinary hospitals for extra fat people. Um, so where you have to, I don't know if I told you about this. I was having dinner with someone the other night and they mentioned that they have to sometimes send patients to Chester Zoo to get them in the MRI scanner at Chester Zoo, which is suitable for the likes of an elephant or a rhino or a hippo or a
Tell
wildebeest.
you about when I went to Alton Towers and two rides in a row, people were turned down in front of me because they were too big for the ride. I didn't even see that happen in America that I recall.
That's a good point, actually. For all the occasions that we've been to Florida, I don't think that has happened.
Yeah,
I don't think
twice
I've seen anyone get.
in a row.
Maybe we have. Maybe we're just not thinking about it. Wow, twice in a row. Wow. Anyway, we could actually no, we could potentially cover some things on obesity because I've been having a look at some statistics with regards to kids' performance decreasing in all areas of fitness. So we might go into that next time out. So either way, thank you very, very much for listening. Again, this podcast has been sponsored by Dry Robe, the makers of the original outdoor changing robe. Get changed and stay warm with Dry Robe, especially over Christmas. Treat yourselves well, do good things, be an effective human, and we will speak to you again soon. Lenko out.